Welcome to Peace TV. Ukraine believes that Wagner's decision to withdraw from Bakhmut could be a turning point for the war there. If they don't change their mind and don't find ways to replenish their forces, I think this could be considered a turning point in the Bakhmut war. Wagner was the key force that fought in Bakhmut for 9 months, said Serhiy Sharavyty, spokesperson for the Eastern Military District of Ukraine, commented. Mr. Sharavyty said that the reason Wagner suffered great losses in Bakhmut was because they continuously sent forces into the battlefield. If Wagner continues to lose more than 100 members a day, they will not be able to make up their forces. Wagner will be destroyed near Bakhmut. That's why Wagner leader Prigozhin wants to withdraw, or find a way. Withdraw their troops, because if this situation continues, they only have a few weeks to hold out, Sharavyty said. The comments came just hours after the head of Russia's private military group Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, announced that it would withdraw its troops from Bakhmut on May 10th due to lack of ammunition. On behalf of Wagner soldiers, I declare that on May 10th, we were forced to hand over our positions in Bakhmut to units of the Russian Defense Ministry and withdraw the remaining Wagner forces to their base. Logistics to stabilize the ranks. Our soldiers will not suffer meaningless, unreasonable losses in Bakhmut because there is no ammunition, Mr. Prigozhin said. Mr. Prigozhin repeatedly criticized the Russian Defense Ministry for not providing enough ammunition for Wagner to fight in Bakhmut. However, Mr. Sharavyty said that this may not be the reason why Wagner decided to withdraw from Bakhmut. There is no shortage of ammunition. In the past day alone, our positions in Bakhmut have received 520 rocket attacks and 6 airstrikes. So this lack of ammunition is not true. I think he is looking for a reason to withdraw from the battlefield after suffering great losses, unable to perform other tasks, unable to make up for his forces, said Mr. Sharavyty. According to Sharavyty, if Wagner withdraws from Bakhmut, the number of attacks against Ukraine there will be reduced because the regular Russian army will not accept the same level of human loss as Wagner. Wagner has been a key force in Russia's effort to seize control of Bakhmut since last summer. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar assessed that Russia is trying to send Wagner soldiers from other fronts to Bakhmut with the aim of taking complete control of this city before the anniversary of Victory Day on May 9. However, according to Western media, the relationship between Wagner and the Russian Defense Ministry has been strained many times. Wagner criticized Moscow for not responding adequately to the need for weapons and underestimating its role. Boss Wagner warned, if they withdrew from Bakhmut, the entire Russian front line here would collapse. President Volodymyr Zelensky has responded to Russia's threat of retaliation against Ukraine and himself. In a statement on May 4th during a visit to the International Criminal Court in The Hague, Netherlands, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky responded to Russia's threats of retaliation against Ukraine and himself. This is not an interesting topic. We should not discuss this topic and the people who bring it up here. I think the Russians need to change the domestic environment and prepare diplomatic moves necessary to end the conflict in Ukraine, Zelensky said. Earlier, many high-ranking Russian officials, including Speaker of the House of Representatives Vyacheslav Volodin and Deputy Chairman of the Federal Security Council Dmitry Medvedev, called on the military to carry out retaliatory attacks aimed at Ukraine after the explosion of 2 UAVs in the Kremlin, which Moscow accused Kiev of being behind. Both Volodin and Medvedev proposed retaliatory strikes against Ukrainian President Zelensky personally when he ordered the military to launch missile strikes on his residence in Kiev. President Zelensky also suggested that the attack on the Kremlin on May 3rd could be carried out by some Russian protest groups. However, when asked about Russia's reaction to the theory that the May 3rd attack was carried out by domestic protest forces, Russian ambassador to the US, Anatoly Antonov, confirmed it was a false information. This is a lie. No Russian wants to stage an attack on the heart of the nation, emphasized Antonov. On the evening of May 3rd local time, 2 unmanned aerial vehicles UAVs exploded after crashing into the Kremlin, the headquarters of the Russian government and the residence of President Vladimir Putin. The Russian president's office later accused Ukraine of conducting a raid on the Kremlin with the goal of assassinating Putin. In response to the incident, China's foreign ministry called on both sides to exercise restraint so as not to aggravate the situation in the region. China's position on the Ukraine situation is clear and unifying. All parties need to refrain from actions that could escalate tensions, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Mao Ning said on Wednesday. On the U.S. side, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said there is currently not enough evidence to substantiate Russia's claims about the attack. The White House press secretary also said that Washington, D.C., does not encourage or assist Ukraine to carry out attacks outside its territory. Russia continued to launch attacks on Ukrainian military targets after the leader of the Wagner force announced that Kiev had begun a counter-offensive. On May 5th, Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Lieutenant General Igor Konashenkov announced that Russian forces had attacked the command posts of 2 Ukrainian army brigades. In the areas near the settlements of Novondrievka in the Zaporizhzhia region, Belagorovka in the Lugansk People's Republic self-proclaimed, and Nestriga Island in the Kherson region. The headquarters of the 128th Mountain Brigade, 54th Motorized Brigade and the center of the Special Forces of the Ukrainian Army has been attacked, General Konashenkov said. The Russian Defense Ministry spokesman said that in 24 hours, Russia's tactical air, missile and artillery forces attacked 103 Ukrainian artillery units at firing positions and servicemen and military equipment in 118 regions of Ukraine. According to General Konashenkov, Russian forces have taken control of 2 urban areas and continuously attacked Ukrainian forces west of the city of Bakhmut, Donetsk Oblast. Tactical forces, Air Force and artillery from the Southern Combat Group attacked units of the 54th, 60th, and 93rd Motorized Infantry Brigades of the Ukrainian Army near the settlement of Krasnoy in the region, southwestern suburbs of Bakhmut and Grigorovka, a spokesman for the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed. In this area, Russian paratrooper units continuously hindered counterattack efforts of the Ukrainian army from the flanks. In just one day, Russian warplanes made 6 sorties and the artillery of the Southern Combat Force hit 57 targets in the area to support the assault units, according to General Konashenkov. According to a representative of the Russian Defense Ministry, Russian forces eliminated about 255 Ukrainian soldiers from the Donetsk front in 24 hours. In addition, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 6 motor vehicles, 2 D-20 howitzers and a Gvozdika motorized artillery system were also destroyed in this area. Russian forces destroyed an ammunition depot of the 54th Motorized Brigade of the Ukrainian Army near Belagorovka. On the Kherson front, the Russian side claimed that up to 35 Ukrainian soldiers, 6 motor vehicles, a Gvozdika motor artillery and D-30 MiSTB cannons were destroyed by Russian fire. In 24 hours, Russian air defense forces intercepted 9 missiles of HIMARS, Uragan and Smerch multiple launch rocket systems, and destroyed 14 Ukrainian drones. In total, the Russian armed forces destroyed 416 combat aircraft, 230 helicopters, 3,949 drones, 421 surface-to-air missile systems, 8,967 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,095 multiple launch rocket systems, 4,728 field guns and mortars, 9,949 special military vehicles of Ukraine since the beginning of the conflict. The Russian attacks come as Ukraine is said to have begun a large-scale counter-offensive campaign. Yevgeny Prigozhin, head of the private Russian military organization Wagner, announced on May 3rd that a major Ukrainian counter-offensive had begun. According to Prigozhin, a period of fierce fighting will take place in the coming days as Ukraine begins its counter-offensive operation. Wagner said Ukraine had mobilized unlimited numbers of soldiers and weapons for this counterattack.